Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Romanians headed to the polls today for the first round of the presidential elections. The vote is not expected to produce an outright winner. So there will probably vote again in a second round on December the 8th. Now, sandwiched between the two is the December the 1st general election. At the moment, Marcel Ciolacu, the Prime Minister from the Social Democratic Party, or PSD, is the favourite to win the first round of the presidential race. He's been leading in the exit polls with an average of about 26%. This puts him well ahead of George Simion, the AUR leader, who has about 15% in the exit polls and is just a few percentage points in front of other contenders. To explain what's at stake here for Romania and its role in both the EU and NATO, we are joined by Cristian-Tudor Băcanu, he's Romanian Member of Parliament, and Claudiu Degeratu, Research Fellow at the Romanian Academy. Welcome, gentlemen, to TVP World, and thank you for taking the time.
Good evening.
Hello.
Thank you
for the kind invitation.
Good evening. If I may start with you, Mr. Băcanu. We've got some exit polls coming out. With regard to the incumbent, they seem to be pretty on track. But George Simion isn't doing as well as many expected him to do. He's actually fourth in the exit polls. Does that surprise you?
Well, I think that we did not listen enough to our voters. So, no, it comes to no surprise for me, personally. I knew how things would look like. Unfortunately, it was the decision of my party to keep this direction, and the voters decided that it was not a good one.
Understood. So what is the direction of these parties, Mr. Degeratu?
Are you speaking about the Liberal Party?
I'm talking about the presidential candidates at the moment.
Well, I think it's. I think the most important, the front runner, of course, Ciolacu has the first chance. Second probably is Elena Lasconi on the second chance, but we will see on this evening what will be the real results from the electoral central authority. I think it's very close. At least the three of the candidates are very close to the same position, the second position for this second round. But I think the Elena Lasconi has the better chances for entering in the final battle with Ciolacu. And of course, Elena has some potential to have more votes from other center-right parties like liberals and probably independents. And in the same time, of course, we have the extremist pro-Moscow orientations, the independent Călin Georgescu and Simion, which are, let's say, now on let's say third place as important. But this is not the only things. Of course, we need the same level of participation to estimate the same let's say outcome like in the first round. And I'm afraid that the second round will be with less participation and, of course, with more uncertainties. Again, Marcel Ciolacu, the center, the Social Democrats have better chances to give the president for the next 5 years.
Yes, but this is for you, Mr. Băcanu. In the second round, do we expect people to shift party loyalties? And is there likely or an increased possibility then of a coalition which can actually challenge the incumbent?
See what happens. I mean, we need to listen to the voters. I think that most of our voters shifted towards the USR, which is a type of Renew party. So similar to the political movement that we saw in France a few years ago. And that means that our voters showed us very clearly that they want to have a center-right policies, and we will see how things look like. But one thing is for sure, we need to change.
Can you expand on that? Change in what way? What is the voter bloc looking for that it doesn't have at the moment?
They want to be represented. Secondly, I think that the voters need to have a real dialogue with the political leaders, and we didn't do very well in this. Thirdly, I think that, I dare to say that the members of the National Liberal Party were dissatisfied with the current leadership, and some of them did not support the current candidate and president of the party, because our party ranks as the second as the second party in the country when it comes to members of parliament in the incumbent parliament and numbers of mayors and presidents of county councils. So naturally, we should have ranked second, and we didn't. And we need to find the explanations for that, and we need to make a very quick shift, because we have parliamentary elections in less than a week from now, so in 6 days, next Sunday, because today is over already. So we need to show the people that we understood our lesson very fast, and that we are eager to change and to coordinate with the views of our voters, of our traditional voters.
Understood. Thank you. Now, Mr. Băcanu, we were talking earlier about Mr. Simeon, and you described him as pro-Russian. Tell me, do you think that Trump's win in America and also the rise of the AfD in Germany has had any influence on Mr. Simeon and others of his ilk in terms of political power?
Say that Mr. Trump's win in America has a direct connection with Simeon's number of votes. As Mr. Trump's winning the U.S. contest for presidency is a clear option of the U.S. voters for traditional and conservative values and for pro-business solutions in government. That's how it seems to me. Well, Mr. Simeon has been having controversial views in Romania, and I would not connect those two. Okay. Moreover, I do not see a direct connection between the Republican Party in the United States and Mr. Simeon's party. I would rather say that there is a direct connection between my party, which is National Liberal Party, the Conservative Party in Romania, and the Republican Party in the United States. So no, I do not see a direct link between the two elections in the States and in Bucharest, in Romania. But when it comes to AfD, there is a trend in Europe. People are looking for other options. People are trying to find ways to show their dissatisfactions with various social phenomena. And I think that Mr. Simeon's votes are part of this trend, European trend.
Understood. Do you expect this trend, Mr. Degeratu, to be reflected in the parliamentary elections that are coming up very shortly?
Definitely, yes. I think we will experience an increase of the Eurosceptics, nationalist, extreme right orientations. I expect to have a strong pillar on our parliament. And of course, I expect to have a continuous crisis of the mainstream parties, Social Democrats and the center right. I think they will continue to try to manage their internal political crisis. As very well pointed out Mr. Băcanu, it's a matter of leadership. It's they are struggling with internal problems. They prefer to develop a more complicated agenda, but not necessarily very effectively in terms of responding to economic crisis and other problems. So sooner or later, the mainstream parties also will experience some internal factions with Eurosceptical attitudes and more nationalistic. This is going to happen. It started several years ago, and I think the trend will continue and will increase, unfortunately.
A Eurosceptic trend. Mr. Băcanu, would you agree?
Excuse me, I did not hear your question.
A Eurosceptic trend has been going on for a few years and is expected to continue after reflected in the parliamentary elections. Would you agree?
Well, that's a very tough question. I would rather say that, as I already said a few minutes ago, that this is a way for the people to show that they are dissatisfied with some things which are happening in Europe. And I will just point out a few things. One, we have been shutting down our coal power plants in Europe for quite some time now, and we try to replace those with green power. On the other side, if all of the EU would become energy neutral all of a sudden, that would bring just a 5% global impact. While at the same time, the Chinese People's Republic has been opening 2 coal power plants per month, 24 per year for some years now. And well, people are very pragmatic, and for the right reasons. We do understand there is global warming. It is very obvious for all of us, but we need to apply the same standards for all countries on the globe, not only for Europe, because otherwise we lose competitiveness. But it's not only that. So a lot of people feel that they are dissatisfied. Another thing is the migration policies. Another thing is human trafficking. And myself, I have been fighting against human trafficking in the last year and a half with very much passion. We passed 3 new laws in Romania, and that has an impact also on migration. So the phenomenon is very complex. I don't think that people have something against Europe by itself. Europe is an amazing project, which I dearly hold in my heart. But I think that people try to say, look, we have problems, and if you don't see them, we will look for alternatives.
Understood. So lots of negotiations ahead, I think. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for sharing your analysis with our audience. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's all from us on this episode of World Talks. Good night.